allow me start introducing myself. My name is Samwel Ogala. Samwel Ogala is a Kenyan living in Kenya, living in a place. In fact, we're living in the western part of Kenya, in a place called Rusinga Island. Rusinga Island is composed of we are Suba. We are a very small community who live in this island. It is an island within Lake Victoria. Lake Victoria is the second largest lake, I think, in the world. So we have different islands, Rusinga being one of them. Our economic activity here is fishing, and we have approximately 35,000 people in this island. Suba community is a very small community of approximately 200,000 people. Though we are not called Suba per se, because we are assimilated Luo community. So most of the people see us as a Luo community. For instance, I'm Samwel with Suba origin. At the same time, I can't speak my original language, the Suba language, because of the assimilation that took place. This happens sometimes before our grandparents. So it's a story we are told. It's when people are running back to our real culture, though at the same time you're faced with different challenges because we are perceived to be a Luo community, which of course my age group, my parents speaks Luo, and none of them speak our original language, Suba. That's a sad state. Nevertheless, that's what we live with, because that is the reality of what it is there. Samuel is 37 years old with a family. I have one baby girl and a beautiful wife. I did my education up to, in our Kenyan system, I call that O level because of other challenges. I'm the fifth born in a family of 6. Depending on how you receive it, we are all male in that family. My mom, so I'm the fifth. I was also the last to do my studies. The younger one did earlier than me because of financial constraint that the family was faced with. During that period, we never had much support. My parents were not working, they were fishermen. I'm glad they're all alive up to the moment, and I celebrate that. I had a lot of challenges in my education as a person, and that's why I was the last out of the 6. I took like 3 years out of school doing fishing to earn a living. Later, by chances, I managed to go to school. And after the 4th form, we had a very funny something that occurred. We had post-election violence. That was in 2007. That is when I did my O level. And for those who can remember, Kenya had a very dangerous post-election violence that led to some of our leaders taken to Netherlands, ICC, International Criminal Courts. To me, that was, I would say that was the shift in my life. At that moment, I had many friends. And maybe before I forget, Kenya is composed of different tribes, 45 different tribes. And now the Luo community was perceived to be in the opposition side. It is like the third largest community in the country. And because you are seen as also Luos, you're perceived to be the people who are in the opposition then. And so it was the people who are in government against the people who are seen to be in the opposition. So I remember the tribal war erupted, my friends, directly and indirectly, including myself, were faced and went through a lot. There's a team, very dear people to me, whose heads were chopped off as they were traveling. There's something very funny about how we are brought up and how our names are given. For instance, my name is Samwel Ogala. The O in the Ogala will tell the tribe I come from. So names are given, and through our names, you can identify our tribes. When you have an O name, then automatically people will know which tribes you come from. So there was a very steep war between my community, Amasuba, but Luo in bracket, my community and the Kikuyu community. So people were killed, my friends were killed, and Sam, who is speaking right now, had also friends, and we organized to attack, to counter-attack the other tribe who were killing our people. And in that space, I came to know about nonviolent communication that had a shift in my life. So the attack didn't take place. I developed an interest of connecting with people in a little bit what I would term at that moment a peaceful manner. That is how I came to know about the peace movement and what Marshall was, Marshall and his teachings. Yes, it has been a journey that I've walked. It has been a journey with the real life situation, ups and downs. And looking at where I am, looking at, because I live in a rural place, I've never worked anywhere. I live in a rural setup. And the experiences I had in school, for instance, we were going to school which is a mixed school, both ladies and male. And there's a lot of things that I've learned as a person. The hard times that I experienced. My staying out of the school and what I see right now happening in my community are things that personally I'm on. For instance, being an island with the fishing, being the main economic activity. We have an activity called Sex for Fish, where our girls, young ones, change for sex to get fish to earn a living. And this comes like a common activity that our elders don't see as something wrong. And even our youths run out of school because of the government structures of punishment. So it hasn't been very easy. Girl child labeled whenever they get pregnancy during the school period, And through these labels, some of them run away, disappear. Some of them also completely drop out of school. Male, some get arrested, some equally disappear because they fear of the consequences and how they are perceived with the community. Our culture also accepts this kind of behaviors where people are labeled, people are seen to be wrong and right. I've managed to be a CNBC trainer for 13 years when I was in that road. You can imagine. And so wrapping all that has transpired in my life, we came up, I came up with a team because I had many friends that I made during my O-level, and we came up with 8 different tribes coming up together, that is to form a peace movement within my country. And the peace movement is called Tuzungumze. Tuzungumze is a Kiswahili word that means let's speak peace. And it is at the national level. It's composed of different tribes, 7 different tribes members. I happen to be the leader holding that space. And at the grassroots level, I also have a community that is practicing peace. We're very passionate to have something done differently from what we experience at our time of going to school. And that is why we came up with over 200 people in Rusinga Island practicing peace. And they decided even to donate a space, a land that is, to have an institution, to have a school that will transform and give our people, our young ones, a space to learn, at the same time a space where when they have a challenge, they can be seen like human beings, they can be listened to, their needs can be met without the labeling, without the judgment. And in the same space, we're also looking forward to have our young girls and young men come back to learn. At the same time, we are also projecting that space can be where a community can have, which in our words I say, a community dialogue space where the community among themselves can meet, to talk and to connect, or among the people perceived to be students and the community members. We're also thinking that we can talk to the government, because there are people who get punished and taken to jail. And one thing that personally I've learned is that people don't get what is seen as right when they're jailed. But then, because our system doesn't allow people for what is called rehabilitation. So this is a center that we are also looking forward to allow the community for rehabilitation. So that is a dream that we have as a community in Rusinga, and a community with other Kenyan tribes. And hopefully there is where we are, and that is someone.
Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for your peace work. And we'll try to support it in any way that I can.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a man of peace, for choosing to be a man of peace, and for choosing to speak peace. I just want to say thank you again. It's such a good thing that you're doing, you know.
Thank you, Charles. My idea right now will be having variety, having different strategies for our people to earn a living. Because the population has increased and 80% still depends on the lake. At the same time, the rate of the fish has really lowered. And so if we can have different strategies to empower our people, to create this awareness that it's not only fishing, that somebody can have a living, can earn a living, and it's not only through fishing that a life can be met. For instance, if we create technical institutions so that our youth, our young girls can have basic knowledge, can have knowledge on, for instance, carpentry, doing other stuff, learning other skills, that will be a great idea, because we'll be exploring other fields of getting a life, learning on how we can have peace in this universe. And from this part of the world, it needs a lot of commitment, because we live in a world of violence. We live in a world where the much we can give, the much we can do, for me, everyone, to live this world in a more better, peaceful than we found it. And it calls for courage, it calls for commitment, because I believe